You may have heard that last week Claude launched Routines. Routines plus Google Ads is killing traditional ads management methods. This morning I woke up at 7 a.m. I made myself a cup of tea as usual. I opened Slack and 2 clients' accounts had already been audited. $1,847 was already flagged in wasted spend. One campaign was running at $171 per conversion, 7 times the account average. But there was another one there at $25 per conversion with its budget capped, quietly leaving money on the table. All of it was posted to me before it even opened Google Ads. And I didn't do any of it, guys. My phone did. Well, technically, Claude did. Because there's a feature sitting inside of Claude right now that almost nobody is using because it is new. And when you pair it with 2 specific skills, it doesn't just speed up your morning Google Ads routine, it completely replaces it. But that's just step 1, because what I'm actually building is much bigger than a morning audit. This is video 1 of me rebuilding my entire agency, client by client, process by process, as a system that runs without me. And you're coming with me. I'm Michael Elliott, 14 years in the Google Ads game and over $130 million personally managed by me. Now, before anybody types this in the comments, NAN could do this. Zapier could do this. Make.com could do this. You're right, they could. This could have been built 6 months ago. But as a business owner, you didn't. Because nobody has a Saturday free to wire up 17 nodes just to get a Slack message. A routine, however, is a prompt. It's one prompt, a plain English prompt. That's the shift. And if you understand what that shift actually means for an agency, you'll stop building the wrong things tomorrow. Because here's what nobody is telling you about the next 12 months of agency work. Every single agency that I know is one person deep on operations. One person knows the audit process. One person does the weekly check. One person remembers what to look for in a new account on day 1. That person is the bottleneck. That person is also the single point of failure. When they take a day off, client service delivery slips. When they leave, the agency breaks until you replace them. I've been that person for 14 years. Time saving is the weakest reason to automate anything. That's not what this is about. This is about making your agency's operational knowledge survive the people who currently hold it. A business that doesn't collapse when your senior strategist goes on holiday. A business that still works when that person decides that they want a new job and leaves. I've had to learn that the hard way more than once. The agencies that make it through the next 12 months are the ones who figure this out now. The ones still relying on senior strategists to remember everything, they're dead in the water the moment that person burns out, goes freelance, or just gets bored. I've watched it happen to agencies twice, 3 times the size of mine, more than once. That's what Claude Routine and Skills actually solve. Not time, survive. And it starts with a distinction that most agency owners have got completely wrong. Routines versus skills. Most people don't know the difference because routines are brand new. So we're going to fix that in 30 seconds, because if you get this wrong, nothing else in this video will work. A Claude skill is a capability. You install it into Claude settings once and Claude can use it forever. Think of it like teaching someone a single job. When I give you search term data, find the negative keywords. That's a skill. It sits there, it waits, it does one thing well when you ask it to. A Claude routine is something completely different. A routine changes and is a complete combatant to NAN and Make.com, because a routine is a scheduled trigger. You don't install it, you create it inside of Claude itself. You tell it what time to fire and what prompt to run when it does. The routine is the alarm clock. The skill is what Claude does when the alarm clock goes off. Here's what almost everybody gets wrong about it. They install a skill, they open Claude every morning, they manually type, run my audit, / whatever. That's still you doing work. You've just added an AI to the process. Useful, yes. Not automated though. So I wired 2 skills together into one routine that wakes up before I do and tells me what's broken in every account that I manage. But before I show you how, you need to know why I built 2 small skills instead of one big one. Because I tried the one big skill approach first, it broke the second that I ran. So I built 2 skills, not one, and I did it deliberately. The first one is called the negative keyword finder. You give it 30 days of search term data and it classifies every term. Competitor, wrong location, wrong intent, wrong service. Just irrelevant generally speaking. Sorted by waste. This morning's run flagged thousands of dollars worth of direct waste and caught something that nobody would have spotted manually. The word van had spent $270 a month across 9 different search terms. None of them converting. A single word, 9 terms, $270 every month forever until this skill noted. The second skill is called the CPA Outlier Finder. It takes the last 7 days worth of performance and compares it against the 30-day account average. It then flags the winners and it flags the losers. Anything that's 5, 6, 7 times the account average will get flagged immediately, even less than that. The reference that I gave you earlier in the video about the cost per conversion differences that got spotted this morning, that second one is a scaling opportunity that has been invisible for weeks. 2 skills, 1 job each, small, sharp, testable. If I bundled them into one skill, it would have failed silently the first time one part broke, and I'd have spent an hour working out which half was wrong. 2 skills mean that I can run either one standalone, fix either one independently, improve them independently, and the routine calls them in sequence like a production line. Here's the part that matters for where we're going. 2 skills today, 5 next month, 1,500 by next year, each one answering one specific question about a Google Ads account. And something interesting starts to happen when you stack them. You start seeing patterns across clients that nobody else can see because nobody else has your data. But before I show you how to put any of this on a schedule, quick question. 10 seconds, open claude.ai/code/routines. Is there any routines there? Have you ever created one? Drop yes or no below. If no, what you're about to see is the single most underused feature Anthropic has dropped this year. So this is what you actually do, and this would have taken a developer to help you out if you didn't have the knowledge 6 months ago. Go to claude.ai/code/routines. Click new routine here, top right, and inside of here, we're going to give it a name. We're going to give it Morning PPC Digest. And then we're going to set a schedule, which is the critical part and the difference between this and skills, is you can set hourly, daily, weekdays, custom, whatever you want. Literally run it however often you want. Some things you're going to want to run daily, some things you're going to want to run on a more consistent basis. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to set this at 7 a.m. Add the trigger. So now I've added the trigger. I'm going to paste in the prompt that I've created. And this prompt is what I'm going to give away at the end of the video. It's written in English and it reads like this. For each of my clients listed below, run the CPA Outlier Finder skill. Then run the negative keyword finder skill. Combine the findings into a Slack message under 200 words. And basically all that's inside of here is that I'm telling it, for each of my accounts that I've listed below, run the CPA Outlier Finder skill. Then run the negative keyword finder skill, combine the findings into a Slack message that's under 200 words and post it to X Slack channel. Then move to the next account. That's the routine. That's the whole thing. Claude reads that prompt at 7 in the morning, sees the 2 skills are installed on your account and runs them in sequence. Pulls the live data through the Google Ads MCP, which is the bit that connects Claude directly to the Google Ads API. No exports, no spreadsheets, no CSVs. It combines the findings. It posts to Slack, moves to the next account. And by the time that I've opened my laptop, every account that I manage has already been triaged. Not summarized, triaged, with 3 specific actions waiting for me. There's a moment in this routine that changes how you think about Google Ads management forever, and it happens the first time you watch the messages land in Slack. And this is what landed in my channel this morning. I could put a few new lines in there to make it look a little bit more crisp, but that's not the point. It's the data that's key. This is for one account, right? It tells you everything. The account average CPA over 30 days is £16. It's a UK business. 7-day blended CPA, £26, so it's higher. And the last 7-day spend is 4K. Critical, 0 conversions. There was none of them that hit that threshold this week. When it comes down to the losers, you can see that some of these spends here, the average CPA, it gives you the number and what the increases are. The losers sorted by weekly spend so that you know where to prioritize. Then you've got the branded campaign that are winners, Performance Max here, winners. Then we head into the negative keyword waste. You can see literally, it tells you here as well by location, which is really critical. It's taking the campaigns, telling you exactly where areas might be, causing problems, etc. Then you have to keep running through this and see what has actually performed well. So you'll have the branded campaign and Performance Max, like I mentioned, but then it's found £118 in this campaign across 4 0 converting search terms. Wrong location, Newport. Wrong service, parts, £28. Wrong intent, how to, 21. These numbers, I handle client-lit accounts with spends up in the millions. I only use accounts that I'm allowed to use, basically the client knows, in public. So if you think about this, if you just 20x that, or even 100x it, on large accounts spending a lot of money, finding these wrong service service issues that have spent £28 in a week doesn't seem like a large chunk of the 4K they spend. But if you amplify that as you grow, or if the percentage, based off of the percentage at the end of the year, what it would have spent, yes, it would have been the same percentage depending on their spend and budget changes, but you would be in a position where you would have allowed that to continue to waste that amount every single week. £118 every single week. Nearly £500 a month, £6,000 a year. This is how you become extremely efficient at PPC management. Because now I have today's actions. So I have to diagnose the DSA campaign in Bristol. I have to scale the performance max budget by 20 to 30%. £3 CPA with 20% impression share loss to budget is the clearest win in the account. Add Newport and nearby South Wales parts as phrase match negatives at campaign level to block the £118 a month leak. It tells you everything. There's different variations of this. This is for a smaller client here that's a nursery. It's telling you about the CPAs that are high, preschool terms, £50 spent, £50 CPA, one conversion, winners below average, etc. So it goes through. So it pulls out, add van as a negative keyword, add how to, add parts as phrase match negatives. They waste X amount combined. I didn't write any of it. I didn't have to click in Google Ads. I didn't have to open the data, open a spreadsheet. I woke up, I read the message and knew exactly what to do before I'd finished my cup of tea. But here's what most people miss. This is Audit 1. Tomorrow they will be Audit 2. In 6 months there'll be 180 audits, all logged, all searchable, all feeding into a pattern library across every client that I run. And here's what that actually compounds into. 6 months in, you'll know which negative keyword themes waste money for local service businesses versus e-commerce, versus their competitors, if you like, or in other countries, future clients, which CPA drifts predict a bidding issue versus a landing page issue, which 7-day pattern means scale and which means pause. Not a feeling anymore. It's not experience and a feeling. It's a library to go and read all the books from, built from your actual accounts and the data. And it makes you faster, more accurate, and harder to replace. And do you know what that becomes? A proprietary data set. You can't buy it on the market. You can't download this. You build it from your own accounts over time. That's a moat. And it's the moat that every agency needs. And almost none of them have it right now. You're not building a routine. You're building the data advantage that keeps you in business when the next 10 AI agencies launch next month. One thing this routine isn't though. It isn't strategy. It'll tell you what went wrong in the account overnight, but it won't tell you whether to fire the agency you've got managing it because the margin's too tight, or whether to say no to a new inquiry because the industry's about to get regulated into the ground. That thinking still sits with you or the person in charge. And that's the part that stays valuable for the next 100 years, no matter how many skills get built. And this audit you just watched, this is literally video 1. Every week on this channel, I'm going to show you one more piece of the puzzle, one more skill, one more routine, one more process that used to require a person that is now running itself. Week 2 is the full PPC account audit skill. Deeper than today's morning digest. This is you dipping your toe in the water. The kind of audit most agencies charge $500 for, done in 5 minutes, end to end. All of it in my voice with $130 million worth of experience behind it. Signed and sent without me or you touching them. By the time you've watched 8 of these videos, you'll be looking at your current workflow and realizing maybe 90% of what you do doesn't actually need to be done by you anymore. That's the whole point. So guys, you're not running Google Ads anymore. You're not running an agency anymore. We're building an operating system together. One that someday soon someone else could run or sell or step away from entirely. That's the difference between a job with clients and a business. Most agency owners never cross that line, but you're about to. The 2 skills and the routine prompts are yours. Gumroad link in the description and the first comment. There's a readme file in case you get stuck on any of the installation. It is all in there. Free download. Install the skills, paste the prompt, set the schedule. You'll have this running before Monday morning. No Google Ads MCP server access. That could be an issue for you, but the pack works with CV uploads too. I did it intentionally. All of those instructions, as I said, are in the readme. So subscribe and come back next Monday for the full PPC audit skill, which is going to be really in depth. And the moment that you see that one run, you'll know exactly why we started with the morning digest. Subscribe twice a week, no filler, just the next piece.